Hello, hello. Welcome back for another week of Launch Codes Football. I'm Daniel
I'm Matthew.
and Matthew. We need to pour one out for the old boomers in town, for the legendary 17 and 0 Miami Dolphins, because as of recording this, there are no more perfect teams left in the NFL.
I mean, as this clearly shows, this is what happens when Don Shula and Larry Zonka aren't walking into your locker room. This is what happens. So,
This is what happens when you throw the football more than 7 times a game. But no, but no, and I say this, the Dolphins, even though they weren't facing one of the perfect teams, they had ironically a crazy comeback. I think they were down 14 nothing or 17 nothing, actually, ironic, to the Panthers. No, I'm sorry, the Panthers were up seven, well, the Panthers were down. And yeah, let's just talk about the 72 Dolphins and not the 2025 Dolphins.
I mean, you could say the same thing about like the 2014 Dolphins, the 2011 Dolphins, the 2002 Dolphins, and I feel like if you were looking ahead, you're looking at the map of the schedules on Sunday. Though the Dolphins have been struggling, like, oh, they should win that one. Maybe they'll right the ship after beating the Jets, beating the Panthers. Like maybe they could salvage their season. And I think this might be the end of the Dolphin season. With everything with the injuries and like losing a heartbreaker like this, I don't see other Dolphins come back, especially knowing that like the Patriots are apparently like a really good team now. So
There's so much we need to talk about with this week. Week five was just comebacks after comebacks, no more undefeated teams. Uh, I want to say like an interesting game in London. It was a hectic week, but yeah, the Panthers and Dolphins game. I didn't realize how bad the Dolphins. I feel kind of bad because offensively they're a solid offense even without Tyreek Hill. Tua is actually healthy. They have trouble running the football, but Achane's a good like catch out the backfield back. Wallace come out of nowhere. He came out of retirement and he's already one of the top tight ends. Their defense is just pathetic and it's
yeah, I mean,
it was
I know. I mean,
insulting.
the Ravens get the attention for the bad defense, which is rightfully so. But the Panthers, they went over 200. It's not even like Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams aren't in that backfield anymore, but they've gained it over 200 yards. So any defense, you're giving that much yardage. It's not just the fact that that you're not controlling the ball on offense, especially in a back and forth game like that in the second half. But just I feel like it is kind of like and I don't want to. I know it's not a measurable thing, but there's kind of like a toughness of like giving up that many yards to someone who's not like Derrick Henry or anything like that. So I do feel like there are multiple teams that I'm sure we'll be talking about today who probably need a clean house, but it does seem like the Dolphins kind of are in that phase where they probably need to kind of bring in some new voices.
Well, speaking of terrible defense, well, you say this about Dolphins, they have a win because when you talk about bad defenses in the AFC East, there's none worse than maybe the Jets, which they're the last team that doesn't have a win, and no
Yeah.
one expected it this year, which is like we didn't expect a playoff team. We didn't expect even a 500 team, but we expected not they're 0 and 5 and they have given up 34, 30, 29, 27, and 37 points.
It's sad with the Jets because even though I'm a Giants fan, I've never had like an ill. I never had like a like ill like towards the Jets. Same
I
way as a Yankees fan, I don't have any ill toward the Mets.
Yeah, because
But I
it's a
really
sickly child.
but it's like I thought this like you said, like I didn't think they would be a playoff team, but I really thought they could be competitive, maybe play some meaningful games like after Thanksgiving, end up with maybe like 6, 7, 8 wins. But and it's sad to say this because we've seen so many bad Jets teams, but this might be like the worst one in our lifetime so far. And it's not like there isn't skill on that team. There's Garrett Wilson, who's a great receiver. There's Sauce Gardner, who is a good quarterback, even though I don't know if he'll ever get back to like his heights from like his first 2 seasons. Quentin Williams is a great defensive lineman, but I don't know what's going. I guess it kind of goes back to the offense with Justin Fields as a quarterback.
It goes to the offense of Justin Field. It also, which is an insane stat, they're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have a turnover on defense yet, which
Mm.
is insane. This was Aaron Glenn's specialty. Like you're going against quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, who's no, and Josh Allen. Well, Allen less so now, but Mayfield, who's somewhat of a gunslinger. Rodgers has done the Dak's the gunslinger. These guys have turned the ball over, and they're just running roughshod on Jets. And I say this about Fields. 'Cause I said this. as a fan of the black and gold. I said this last year about Fields, and it's come out perfectly this year. He always has the two or three dynamic plays. He every game,
Hmm.
every time he plays, he has two or three dynamic plays that jump off the screen. You do not trust him on a 3rd and 6. You do not trust him on 3rd and 5. You do not trust him to ever get. You, you got two good plays in him each week, and that's it. But in terms of winning a game for you or even keep you in the game, that's not what he did. Even going back to Chicago, there's a lot of weeks where he would play terrible and then have like a really cool drive the last 5 minutes of the game, and like, oh, his stats weren't that bad. I'm sorry, he's just not an NFL quarterback. He's maybe a solid backup, but he's not an NFL quarterback. And I feel bad for Glenn because I'm not saying he's a one and done coach, but if they keep having the worst defense in the league week after week, and it looks like at times their team's just like not even trying, not even gonna say not even trying, but they're just like stupid penalties and stupid decisions, and just it has to get better, or else he might actually be a one and done coach.
I do agree with you. Like, if things just kind of keep snowballing, then I could see him being like a one and done. But I actually don't think so. I mean, I know he's been getting some critique in the media by people saying like with different Jets team, but it's like the same results of the Jets team. But I mean, they played 5 games this season so far. They were really close and competitive against the Steelers and against the Bucks, and like kind of iffy against the Dolphins, but they really won in the game against Buffalo and the game yesterday against the Cowboys. But I mean, they have some winnable games coming up. They play Carolina, they play Cleveland, they play Cincinnati, they play a Baltimore team that's just like surprising. And when they play the Dolphins again, I mean, they play the Saints. So I really don't think, and I'm hoping that like they're able to turn around at least salvage some part of the season, maybe win, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 games, which isn't much, but better than what it is right now.
Get ready for Jake Brown and Dylan Gabriel career games, but going from one New York slash New Jersey team to your favorite New York slash New Jersey team, uh, the Giants. It was an interesting game. I'll let you take the lead in this because I feel like that was a game that the Giants should have, outside like one or two plays, that the Giants really should have won this game.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for letting me take the lead. I mean, I don't want to go on too long because I mean, we could take up the entire podcast episode with this. But again, I mean, I like the Giants. They start off really hot. I mean, I think they said it's been a long time, but like in back-to-back games, the Giants have scored on their opening drive. And the fact that like we've had to celebrate this kind of shows you what the state of the Giants has been over the past few years. And they started off like really hot, but I mean, just mistakes really killed them. I mean, they had on 5 straight possessions, they had turnovers, and 2 of them were killers at the going into the second half, about the ending the second quarter, entering the second half. They had chances to put up some points, but then at one point, Cam Scatterboo, he had a fumble that was returned for a touchdown, and then Darius Slayton had like a horrible fumble, and he had a bad drop later on in the game too. So I mean, I know these are growing pains for a rookie quarterback. I think Jackson. I mean, I'm not obviously this is the second game of the season. I'm more patient. I feel like than most people in terms of like how to watch a rookie quarterback. So I mean, I understand like this was like a growing pain session where he'll make some mistakes. He did make some mistakes. He had one bad fumble where he went untouched and he just dropped the ball. That's just something you just can't have. But the really thing that really hurt about this was that like every Giant fan looked at their schedule and said, I don't know how many wins we're gonna get, but we could beat the Saints. but I mean, the Saints were the team that I mean they got their first win. So congratulations to Spencer Rattler, Kellen Moore. I remember Kellen Moore at Boise State. So I always liked him. But yeah, I mean, this was a rough one. It just kind of shows like, and I'm someone who's not been patient with like this head coaching regime and general manager. This is just kind of like shows you, I think that like again, kind of with the Dolphins, I think there needs to be new voices there by the start of next season.
Oh, so he's saying without a doubt that unless some miracle run, that this is the end for that entire regime.
I think so. I mean, I know at the press conference at the end of the last season when John Mara he kind of gave them like another year of endorsement, but he said like I'm losing my patience with this, and I mean their schedule is ridiculously tough. I don't know why. I mean, I understand like how their schedule is created with like last place teams placing last place teams and like the division rotation every few years. But their schedule at one, I mean, they could potentially be, I don't know, like 2-10, 1-11, and that'll be Dable for like year 4, year 5. And you look at his record, and this would be one of the worst winning percentages for a coach in this franchise's history. So I mean, I don't think unless there's some miracle where they're able to like salvage the season, win maybe 7, 8, 9 games, which I don't think will happen. I definitely think this will be a new head coach, new GM next year.
Well, just think about the week before with the Los Angeles Chargers And
Mm.
speaking of the Chargers, yeah, my pick for the AFC West is kind of not. It's not doing the best right now. It's not doing good. They got to an early lead against Washington, and then everything fell apart. And now they're top line, and then Ovarian Hampton, they just announced he's on the IR, so he's missing a couple
Mm.
weeks. And man, that's just it's the old line was going to be a problem. They lost it,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's where all.
that's going to kill them this entire year. And the O line is and it hurts so bad because after the first few games, you're looking at the Chargers like Harbaugh did it again. Like Herbert looks a lot better, and in respect, Herbert still was I'm throwing the ball, I'm bouncing the attack yesterday. It's just the next few weeks. Okay, next week's gonna be easy. Next week's the Dolphins, but after that you have Indianapolis going to until the bye. They have Indianapolis, Minnesota, Tennessee, which is again another win. But then you got Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. So four of their next six games are against teams that are playoff to playoff caliber teams, and that's going in. If you go in there without your top two running backs, because Najee's done for the season, without a solid offensive line, I know like the Chiefs and Broncos are coming up like they're coming up on your tails. This is not good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think that is like the biggest issue right now with the Chargers, and the fact that I mean, Herbert's always been a good quarterback, but I feel like his first few years they weren't as balanced as Harbaugh has like brought to that team. But even and it showed last week where I think they're clearly a better team than the Giants. But once you lose Joe Alt, and like once that line continues to get injuries against like a good pass rush in the Giants, they were able to that pass rush won that game for the Giants.
Yeah,
And I mean, it had an effect against Washington yesterday. It's going to have an effect later on just because you can't put too much on Hope. You can't put too much on one quarterback. And then plus you lose your starting running back and you don't know when Joe Hall's actually be coming back. So I still think there's talent there. I mean, I like Harbaugh. I like Herbert. So the season's not over, obviously, but what looked like was going to be like a clear one to like the division title. They're probably now maybe competing for a wild card team when like last week, 2 weeks ago, people were like, oh, they could be a Super Bowl team. So.
exactly. Like again, they still have talent. It's still Harbaugh. It's still Herbert. They're going to be in a playoff mix. But this man, they're getting injured. The Chiefs are getting healthy. The Broncos are getting a lot better. This isn't going to be good for them. But
No.
one team that doesn't make sense at all, they can't use excuse being injured, is the Philadelphia Eagles. What the heck's going on right now? This feels like 2 years ago when they just were so talented in Kelsey's last year, and they just seemed like they were blowing games like week after week. Because the Rams game, they should have lost the Rams game. Their special teams basically bailed them out during that game. This game, they just didn't have, like it was over. This game, it was like okay, we're good, fine, pack them up. And the next thing you know, the Broncos are going and winning the game.
I'm
They're supposed to be the Class A AFC, NFC, and they look like they play one half of football each week.
Is it? I mean, it's still way too early to tell, but it kind of reminds me. It's been reminiscent of the Philly team. For I believe it was like 2 or 3 years ago, where they started off on fire, like 9-0, ten
Yeah,
and one, and a lot of critics and fans were like, "This is kind of like a fraudulent, like 10-1, 9-0 team." Even though they like had a good record on paper, it just looked very different from what they had done like the year before, 2 years before when they had won the Super Bowl. And I'm kind of getting that same feeling where I mean, it's tough for a team to kind of go back to back. I mean, that's why so few teams have done it. And with the issues they've been having on offense, with AJ Brown kind of having like cryptic tweets, and then it feels like the offense was kind of trying to placate the passing game, and they kind of took away which is the strength, which is their running game with Saquon Barkley and that dominant offensive line, and they didn't run as much as they usually have in the past. I know Jalen Hurts he threw it almost 40 times yesterday, and that's not a winning way of
they
like
had the
playing for that
lead.
team.
Why are you doing it so much when you have a lead?
Yeah. So I
You're
mean,
winning.
I still think they're the class of the NFC until someone knocks them off their perch. But they do not look as dominant as they did last year, which is shocking to me because they have a lot of pieces back and they should be dominating like they did last year.
Like their four wins this year. The Cowboys game was a nail biter. The Chiefs game was a nail biter. The Rams game should have been a loss, and the Buccaneers came out in the end of the game and made it more of a nail biter. And granted, these are good teams, but well, we can question why the Cowboys are a good team, but yeah, it looks like at times they only play one half of football, and it does remind me, like you said, like the 2 years ago was Kelsey's last year when they looked like they were just like coasting through a season. They fell apart at the end, and then they got smacked in the playoffs. And then maybe that's good for your Giants this coming Thursday.
I mean, I doubt that would happen. I mean, unless Eli Manning's not walking through that door, Sean O'Hara's not walking through that door,
Phil Simms is
Michael Strahan's not walking through that door. A lot
uh,
of people walking through doors today.
oh, ye a little faith. Well, the other team that I'll say is one of the better teams in the NFC is Tampa Bay, and yeah, like is at this point, can we say Baker is the early season MVP candidate?
I think they're a good team, but I mean, they're going to win that. I think they're clearly going to win that division. But
Yeah,
I guess I'm not as high on Tampa as other people. I mean, I think at this point, you can't forget about Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones.
yeah.
And I guess I mean, I guess,
Like
but I
I
mean,
guess you
in
got
terms of going
Golf
back
and
to Tampa,
Allen too.
yeah, and Allen. I mean, I just going back to Tampa. I mean, it's a really good trait to win close games. But when you're winning every game close, I don't think that can be. I don't think that's sustainable for 17 plus games going into the postseason. Because I remember the last time the Giants won a playoff game, that Giants team with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, they played Minnesota, and both of those teams had won a bunch of nail biters. And I remember a lot of analysts and fans thinking going into that playoff, these are two fraudulent teams. I mean, I
And
guess
it
you could say it
showed.
kind of showed because the Giants beat Minnesota, and then the Giants got destroyed by Philadelphia that next weekend. So I mean, yes, Baker deserves his flowers because going all these late end drives to win games. I mean, that's so impressive. But in terms of like a long term sustainability, against Green Bay, against Philadelphia, once they right their ship against Detroit, I just don't know how I would pit that against those teams.
No, that like well they've lost Philadelphia, so like we've always
Yeah.
seen how they do against fair against the top teams in the NFC. Yeah, the nail bite against the Jets doesn't make sense. The nail bite against Houston with just Houston, all this stuff doesn't make sense. The Falcons, we're not even sure if the Falcons are like an average team at this point.
Falcons are such a crazy team. They're
But
such
I
an up
give
and down team.
but no, I think you still have to give someone your flowers to Baker. Like he's down
Oh, of course.
his two main skill position guys out. Evans is out and Bucky Irvin are out. He seems to put up just these crazy passing numbers week after week. He always finds his receivers. Um, but no, I see what you're saying in terms of. 'Cause I remember that Vikings team. That Vikings team, they were like 13-3. I think they had like a +3 points against like in points difference. And like, how are you this good? And like, well, because they're winning every game by like 2 or 3 points, and they got blown out in like the other games. But like, I don't like. I guess my thing is because there's no clear favorite in either conference right now. They would definitely be one of the favorites.
Oh
But
yeah.
but I would again we see him against Philadelphia. Would you trust him against say Detroit or
I think they're Cleveland in the division.
yeah?
But if I were to like off the top of my head, I would rank Philadelphia in front of them. I would rank Detroit in front of them. I would rank Green Bay in front of them, and possibly even like San Francisco. They've been able to like kind of stitch together their season behind with all the
I
injuries.
mean the remains of San Francisco. The tad of
Whatever they're doing, it's working. It just kind of shows you how great of a coach Kyle Shanahan is.
whatever they're doing is called giving the ball to CMC and pray. That's what they're doing. And there's one more team. I think we have to start mentioning your least favorite team in this category at this point. Is it time to make the Dallas Cowboys into were we wrong about Dallas? Were we wrong saying Dallas was
Hmm.
definitely done because they held their own as best you can against Green Bay. You literally tied the football game. And I know the Jets are not a good team, but we knew their offense was going to show out. That's something we always knew going to the season. The Dallas, if they're healthy, they're going to have a top tier offense, and they're not even healthy because their best player is not playing right now. CD Lamb is out. Dax, I guess, is another guy you have to consider as an
Oh
early
yeah, he is. I mean,
first
and I
split
would
MVP candidate.
And I would correct you when you said like this is like my least favorite team to talk about like in this section. I mean, I would say it's my least favorite team like across all categories. So let me just preface that. But yeah, I hate to admit it, but yes, this Dallas team has really surprised me. I mean, I'm not. It's very reminiscent of the Cincinnati team last year, where Joe Burrow just like he played at an MVP level, and that's the level Dak is playing now. He's been playing outstanding this season, but kind
Yeah,
of like with that Cincinnati team last year, I just don't see them going too far. Even if they do make the playoffs, I just don't see them going too far because of that defense. I mean, I don't. I mean, as it showed, I mean, you can't be too dominant on the offensive side of the football, and that's what this team is. Like on offense, they're outstanding. They're one of the top five offenses in the league. But I just can't. I don't trust the team just because of the defense.
I get
Nothing.
that.
Not knocking Dak or anything like that.
I give credit too, like the running back, Javonte Williams. Everyone thought the running game was going to be terrible this year. It's like, oh, you should have gotten a running back in the draft. You should have gotten a running back this time. He's been a very solid running back when he's on the
Oh
field.
yes, he had a great game yesterday against the Jets.
And then next few weeks, they have to face the Panthers. Commanders is interesting. It's going to be interesting Commanders for now with
That's going to be
Jay
an interesting game.
Daniels
Yeah.
a couple weeks back. Then you have to face Denver, who isn't really that much of a world beaters. Then you have to face the Knucklehead Cardinals. And then you face the Raiders before you go into the heart of the schedule, which is the Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, which
Oh, that's gonna be an interesting stretch. I mean, maybe they're 0-3, maybe they 1-2, 2-1. Maybe they even sweep that stretch. And the AFC, I mean, going back to that Cincy team last year, I feel like the AFC was a little deeper, which was like a little difficult for them to make the playoffs. I mean, that was definitely has a chance, just because, as we mentioned before, there's like the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers, and possibly like San Francisco. Those are like your kind of, I don't know, your elevated top five. But then you have two more slots available, and like Dallas is
yeah.
probably in that 6-7 range with like Minnesota and Seattle. So they're definitely playing meaningful games in December, as much as I hate to admit that.
Yeah. Well, that just give you a chance to open up your new year by watching them lose like 40 to like 7.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, every few months I just go back and watch that blowout they had against the Packers, and just like it just kind of makes my mood feel a lot better.
It's like a story. It's like Klay Thompson back in the day said, yeah, when I'm in a shooting slump, I think about that game 6 against OKC when I had like a 12 threes. Like Matthew, anytime he's like in a riding slump, I just have to go back and watch that Packers game. Like it doesn't
There's
even
so many
help.
Packers games. There's so many Packers and 49er playoff games to choose from. It's like it really. I have a multiple options, which is nice.
Well, another team which I like to call now the Knuckleheads, that is, I guess technically they would be considered in that race just because the NFC is so wide open. But they dropped a stupid game yesterday with the Cardinals and Titans.
Oh
I'm
no.
happy. Cam Wood, congratulations. You got your first win, and all you needed to happen was a stupid play and just the luckiest bounce I've ever seen in a football game.
Mm. I mean, I would not consider Arizona in that 6 to 8 range of Seattle, Seattle, Minnesota, and Dallas, just because they make mistakes like this. I mean, they've lost every game, I believe, this season on a game-winning point, or like by less than 3 points, less than 7 points, like at the end of games. And this is, I mean, yesterday's a game that you just can't lose. Just kind of how I mentioned at the start, how every Giant fan circled New Orleans as the game to win. I imagine every Arizona Cardinal fan circled this game like, oh, we're going to beat Tennessee. We can beat at home.
Oh
How are we
yeah.
going to lose to Tennessee? And then I mean, the mistakes they made, it was just boneheaded. And I mean, Kyle Murray and that team, there's talent on that team. There really is, but it never seems to come together. So I could definitely see, I mean, Jonathan Gannon, I mean, he's only I think this is like his second or third year in, but I could definitely see, this is like one of those losses that gets a coach fired.
Yeah. And like if that running back scores the touchdown, to me the game's over. They're up by 3 scores at this point. And you saw him on the sidelines. So Coach Lee ran up there and was screaming at him like you remember back in the day when Coughlin was screaming at Matthias Kiwanuka when he let
Oh
go
yeah,
of
Matthias
Vince
Giannuka,
Young.
yeah.
It was like that. Because this is like the backup of third string because James Conner's done. So you think this is his chance. It's the time to shine and you fumble the football. But I just have to ask, it's like because is Kyler Murray a good quarterback? Like if Kyler
I,
Murray, if he was your start, well, you're a Giants, so
I
yeah,
mean, it's tough for Giants because it's a rookie quarterback. I mean, I'd say if he was on the Jets, I think the Jets probably have at least like 1 or 2 wins. But it's also, I think he's a good quarterback, but this is like what, year 7 of Kyle Murray? Like he's somewhere
yeah,
between year 6 and 8. So I mean, this is probably what the best we've seen of Kyle Murray. I don't see him, like, I don't know, really progressing to like that next level. And if this is what we've seen so far of him, and this is the best we're going to get out of him, I think that either he's like too good to move on from, but he's not, I guess bad enough like get a lot of losses. We get drafting like a high quarterback in the draft.
he's
So
like
I mean, I just think the situation needs to be like in a good spot for Kyle Murray, and it just hasn't been in terms of coaching, lots of construction, even like some of his own mistakes where it was a bad fumble he had with the snap of the ball. So I mean, yeah, I mean, this is one of those tough situations where like I could see them moving on from Kyler at the end of the season or like in the next year, but I could also see them like just kind of hanging on to say maybe we'll tweak some things and we'll just keep at it. So, but I just don't think this year they're a playoff team.
well, they might not be a playoff team, but one team that has finally returned to the playoff. at least discussion after Sunday Night Football's upset. New England, this is New England Patriots. This is their schedule next few weeks, and I think this is important. They are right now they are 3-2. Their next few games are the Saints at New Orleans, at Tennessee, then hosting the Browns and hosting the Falcons. Now I know the Saints just at New Orleans isn't the surefire thing anymore, apparently. Neither is at the Titans, apparently. It, it's technically not the Browns anymore because Browns are a good game, but but they could enter November. They can enter the middle early November when they have to face the Buccaneers. And then after the Buccaneers game, the next few games of that is the Jets, Bengals, and Giants.
Yeah, and I think they don't. I don't know if they played the Jets yet this season. So I guess they would be playing the Jets twice. I
They
think.
still have to face the Jets twice. They still have to face a Ravens team late in the season. Who knows what's going to happen by that time? They still have to face the Dolphins in the year. The Patriots have a very cakewalk schedule, and I know Chelsea had the Patriots making the playoffs as a wild card, and I just didn't see it. But looking at this schedule, like as long as they don't just do what they did in week one and get and lose to the Raiders, there's no reason they shouldn't win 9, 10 games.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of on your ship too with like the Patriots. Like I feel like they will improve. I mean, I think Mike Vrabel's a good coach. You were getting another year of Drake May, who showed promise last year. But I was just afraid of like the AFC being very deep and with the lack of skill help around him. But I always confident in that quarterback and that coach and that defense. But I mean, Stephon Diggs had a big game last night,
Oh yeah.
and Drake May has really like stepped in terms of development. And they play an easy schedule, and like teams that you projected to be like really good, like Baltimore and Houston, like they've kind of taken steps back. And so I mean, I could definitely see like New England like being in that conversation, like playing meaningful games this time before a playoff spot, for maybe even a division now, just because right now they have the head-to-head against the Bills. So and I
It's
mean, that was such an impressive win going into Buffalo, a team that's kind of own you like post Brady Belichick era. So
There's no like they're still technically a game back, but yeah, they do have a tiebreaker. They yeah, there's not really another team after the main teams in the AFC. In terms of the wild card is very much wide open because again, like you said, a lot of teams are kind of falling off. A lot of teams are dealing with injuries, and one team in our brother-in-laws is Baltimore Ravens.
mm.
Ugh,
Yeah, I
I
think this.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Mhm.
it. I think this is done. I think it's time to even if Lamar comes back in a week or two. You cannot fix a defense that gives up 44 points against the Houston Texans. Period.
I mean, kind of going back to like, I guess circling the wagon to what we were talking about, like the 72 Dolphins. I mean, even though this Ravens team was not going to be the 72 Dolphins, even if Lamar comes back, unless you're a team like the 72 Dolphins, every team usually has like those 1 or 2 losses late in the season. Like, how did they lose that game? Like, so they have 4 losses right now. They're 1-4. They've dug themselves into such a big hole.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's already such a ahead just because they've played really well this season. I mean, we've seen that Cleveland, even though they're probably not going to be like a great team, like they're not a cupcake team.
No, no.
And I mean, and maybe Cincinnati makes a move. Maybe they stick with Browning. Maybe they go out and try and grab someone like Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson to salvage that season. But either way, there's talent on that team. I mean, even though they look bad against Detroit, they did put up some points in like the second half, fourth quarter. So I just think with the injuries, with Lamar coming back in terms of like his health and Derrick Henry, just because I'm sure it's like a combination of like Baltimore, the teams they're playing, stacking the box, not letting Derrick Henry beat them. But it's also Derrick Henry's about to be 30. If he's not already 30, that's a lot of wear and tear on his body. So this offense is as dynamic as it used to be. So I definitely think Baltimore, unless they make some miraculous comeback, I think this season, I don't think they'll be a playoff team this year.
Well, next week they travel to face the Rams, so that's gonna be an interesting game. Who knows if Lamar plays or not? Then after that you got the Bears, which it's the Bears. The season itself isn't really that tough of a schedule until you get to the last third. The last third you have to face Pittsburgh, go to Cincinnati, face New England, Green Bay, and then Pittsburgh again. So you can't slip up at all in those 5 games at this point because you're already 4 games in the hole. I don't think they're going to try to rush back Lamar because he's such a mobile quarterback that you're dealing with a hamstring injury. That could be very devastating if he goes down again like that. So yeah, it's
I would say just one quick question. The Rams are going to Baltimore next weekend, but even then, like I definitely would favor the Rams in that one.
Oh
So yeah, I
man,
mean, like you said at the point at the end of the season, they're probably not going to go. They're probably not going to go perfect from like Christmas on. So that's probably maybe like 5 losses. I don't think they're going to be the Rams. So that'll be 6 losses. So I mean, this has been one of the most shocking like like a team that we thought would be really good. This been but has like really fallen off. I definitely think this was one of the most shocking ones in recent memory.
just imagine Puka and Devontae Adams and Stafford in that offense against that defense because that
I mean,
defense
they could score easily like maybe 30 points in that game.
just well, I could be upset, but I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm not really. Um, but no, this has been a fun week of football. It was been a bye week, so it was somewhat relaxing. But once again, that was Launch College Football. We want to thank Matthew again for joining us. Chelsea hopefully should be back next week. But it's been fun to having my brother along, discussing just the NFL season in total, and you got to see the highs and lows of the Giants so far.
I mean, I feel like most it's probably the most giant talk on the show over like the past 3 episodes that
Fact.
you guys have had on the
Fact.
season the entire year.
Fact. No, no, we
Rightfully
talked.
so, which is understandable, which is very understandable.
I think we talked briefly when Russell Wilson had like that one comeback game and then nothing else.
Ah, the Russell Wilson game in week was it week 2, week 3? I always remember that one.
But thank you everyone for joining us for another week of Launch Coach Football. Try to follow us on X, Twitter/X, Facebook, Instagram. We get listen to the podcast on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify. Follow us anytime on Twitch. Twitch, Discord. We might be on sometime soon. Maybe we will. I know the Colts and Steelers are playing eventually, and I know
Oh, that'd be fun.
Me and Chelsea are having some plans. It's gonna be just stay tuned, guys. Just stay tuned. Trust me, it's going. This season is not even halfway done yet, so we have a whole 4 months left to go. But until next time, I'm Daniel,
I'm Matthew.
and everyone have a great week, and we'll see you on Thursday.